to play e6.
Yeah, but this
he wants to play rook h7, d7? No, in any case.
There
yes,
it is.
There it is.
G3, d7, king moves, e6,
Oh, those
g2.
pawns are fast.
But
Okay, now the
Magnus is
E7
ready.
is
No,
played.
Magnus is ready to give up his rook for the g pawn and force the win, force the promotion.
But he has to play
of the
e6
queen.
first.
And now we
So
go rook
G2.
h2.
Just making some
I
announcements.
think it might be Chris
Or
Bird.
Chris
yeah.
Bird, apparently. But I will tell you, Magnus will consider it a good feather in the cap if he can come back and destroy the field in Blitz and make sure the whole audience and them know I'm still Magnus Carlsen.
And I
Talk
think he
to us
could.
for a moment, Maurice, about winning scores in the Blitz. What has traditionally been enough to take it?
12 wins the Blitz generally.
12 out of 18
Out of
points.
18 is a really nice score as they've shaken hands there. I expect something special to happen in this event, though, and here we go.
And
H4. You couldn't have
Oh, my
predicted
goodness.
that one.
H4.
And we're not in a Grunfeld anymore, but
It's a Benoni
in a
with
Benoni with
H4.
H4 on the board, move
Which is
3.
weird.
That's something that people do a lot. If they find that the line against the Grunfeld, they prefer to play a Benoni, they sometimes switch it up, right?
Right.
Like if against a G3, for instance, you see that a lot as well. So why would you like to play the Benoni with the pawn on H4 as opposed to a
No
Grunfeld?
idea.
No idea.
No idea
Yes.
at all.
That's the first time you've ever said
Yeah,
that.
there is no variation in the Benoni that I'm aware that fits with H2, H4. And in fact, already you can see that White has compromised with the move King E1 to F1. He is playing for H4, H5, no question about it.
He's winging it right now.
But he is.
Magnus just flowing in.
He's trying to get a position.
Literally
and we're
winging
see
it
H5
by putting
Yeah.
both of his wing pawns
Pawns up.
forward.
Right.
I know that that's what Maurice had in mind when he said wing.
Yeah. I was about
And-
to say, in the Benoni, one of the things that Black does aspire to do is to trade some minor pieces. He has a space cramp, so let's get some pieces off
Yeah.
the board. 94, very normal concept.
Right, and if we can, then we notice that these D4 and E5 squares are quite juicy because notice the corollary E6 is protected, right?
Exactly.
So Black's pawn chain actually does control some really sweet squares. The problem is our pieces aren't developed on C8 and B8 and A8.
Right.
So he also has to solve that by playing knight D7.
That's not
Well,
going to take
here-
much to solve at all.
well,
and this
well-
looks weird with the king on F1.
Well, here I was about to say I'm expecting some kind of kingside attack based on bishop d3, queen c2, bishop takes g6, or bishop d3, knight g5, knight takes f7. And again, this is a very good move, bishop g4. I like this move a lot as you sit there and you want to
Yeah.
trade off minor pieces. I like
That's why
this.
I almost wasn't sure about knight F3. Maybe you had to
Right.
do it, but
I was
one
actually
thing I
thinking
like
of
is
rook a3, yeah.
if we can make a weighty move and force them to play knight D7, and then
That's
they can't
right.
get their bishop out as easily.
Exactly.
But perhaps Magnus has a specific concept in mind here. I still can't play rook h4 because there's bishop takes f3, removing the defender.
Sure.
But there was also a problem of rook d4 if you didn't put the knight out
Well, I was
somehow
at
at some point.
Maybe that's what it was.
Whoa, whoa,
so
whoa,
bishop
whoa,
g5,
whoa,
but what
whoa.
about bishop takes f3? How's that work?
Yeah, well, bishop takes d8. Unfortunately, the queen is not protected.
But there's
you don't
bishop
have
takes
knight.
there's bishop takes e2 check.
then
But
queen
you're in
takes, you drop in
exchange
your-
down.
Yeah,
at the
we're
end
going to
of
be
the
down in
turn.
exchange at the
Yeah,
end.
because you
right?
can't play rook takes d8.
So
bishop
the-
f6,
bishop
quickly
f6.
played. Okay.
I feel like I don't buy what White is doing.
Not at all.
It just
I mean,
doesn't
again,
look harmonious. You're going to, unless that rook can sneak up to A3 at some point and make itself felt. Bishop now dropping back to E3. If that rook can sneak into the game, I'm trying to get it all the way over, by the way, to the king side.
well, that's what I was thinking before he played knight f3 was rook a3 at once. But h3 was covered, so you weren't going to play rook a3 to h3. In any case,
Just play knight D7 and Magnus.
What
And
to
Magnus
say?
played knight t2, hitting the rook on e4 and the bishop on g4, so that will compel bishop takes e2.
I was wondering about bishop takes f3 there, Jen.
Oh,
I think
but
g
the-
takes f3 was going to be required because c4 was hanging. So there
Right.
was something to be said. Nonetheless, bishop takes e2, queen takes e2.
But it hasn't been played yet.
Why
It
is
has
he
not.
thinking here?
That's why I was wondering
Can you
why he's
explain
thinking.
why he's thinking? His
I
rook's
think
under attack.
rook takes e3 is a type of exchange sacrifice.
And there it is.
Wow,
Yeah.
there it is on the board, and he's
It-
just gone for
Well,
it.
because
It's so common in the Benoni, if you ever get complete full control over the e5 square, I mean, a lot of Benoni players think that that's worth the exchange.
Bishop e2, queen e2, queen e7, rook h3 all on the board.
Rook h3 on the board.
And now rook e8, increasing the pressure on the e line.
Man, this is exciting stuff. MVL with a deep concept. Rook to b1 now.
Rook b1. 'Cause
Potential
eventually-
b4.
Did he really need to sacrifice an
He
exchange?
did, he did
thought
not.
had a
I
good-
think he's
I
just
thought he had
playing
a good
dynamically.
position.
He's just playing dynamically with flow right now.
But Yaz is saying he liked his position without
Without
that.
No,
Yeah,
without the
yeah.
sack. That's what I was curious about.
Right. Why did he feel it necessary?
I don't think he thought it was necessary. I think he thought it was good.
Well,
Although it's
will
hard to
disagree.
imagine.
So you're just going to switch back to defending the pawn with rook a1, yeah?
Well, I'm not even sure. I mean, are you even threatening to take the pawn? Because there's going to be all kinds of for example, suppose I play b3
And I play bishop e3.
and I play rook e1.
Yeah,
Right,
really,
because
you
you
could-
have rook
he has
f3
protected the
upon
pawn.
queen f6.
You're going to have to go back with the bishop and allow the trade of queens and rooks,
Instead, he did not do that. He played rook to e1 like your original instinct.
right? Just defending
And now
the pawn.
queen f6 check. That seems to force knight f3, but it looks like Magnus is willing to give away the b pawn,
He's done
and it is off the board. What an
He's-
interesting
he's played
concept
queen
here.
f2 and
Queen
knight
f2
f3.
takes on b2, and then knight f3. Does black have? He has a single pawn in compensation, so queen
Right.
b2 played.
But
But
can
now-
we
Knight
keep...
f3, and now you have to trade queens. It looks like,
Yeah, and he has.
and the bishop back, and
But
Magnus
with
is
the
now going to
half-open b file.
try to torture him.
This is definitely white for choice. There's
B6
no
has been
question.
played. Rook b1, b6 on the board.
Because you've always got this little A4, A5 type of.
And if we
now
can
the
ever
rook
get
on
our-
H3 is misplaced.
And if we can ever get our knight to e4 or something, that would be a really sweet square.
King e2 played. He can't play rook e4. Well, I guess he could. Rook e4, king d3, and then rook to g4 is playable. Oh, he did do that, in fact. And now g3. And now what does black do to show compensation?
Maybe we can get the real-time position up there as...
We have
This is the
G3 on
position.
the board.
There we got
And
it now.
now what does black do? This is the challenge. Has he just stymied? I would like to have my bishop on a5 so my knight can be
Well,
released.
it's sort of like this rook is
Good luck
stuck.
with that.
Yeah, king f8 played.
This rook is stuck. This knight is stuck because you don't want to allow knight e5. The only free piece in the position that white has is the rook. I think it's time to play a5.
Right, a5
Because
takes.
you can't really move the king. The king
But are you
is-
sure you want to give him the a pawn to?
Well,
to-
takes rook b7, hitting the knight, and I'm going to play rook.
And you have, and it is on the board, as you said, Yaz. It is on the board.
No real choice.
Play, he must take, and now the rook goes down, and now this is the dynamic question that's.
We're expecting
facing
king e8. I wouldn't want to walk into the pin. I want to keep in reserve the move knight e5 check. So I'm not very excited about king e7. King e8. He's
King
played
e7 played.
Okay. Well,
And now
in any
rook-
case, the rook has got to collect these a pawns.
And there goes that a pawn to a5, a4, and rook a6.
Yes.
And why did he push the pawn? It doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Well, he doesn't have time to set up with a bishop.
Exactly.
On B2
That looked like a waste
and
of a
pawn on
tempo
A3.
pushing that pawn. And you talk about black's pieces, white's pieces being tied down, but black's pieces are not going anywhere either.
I think it's time to play knight e5. Well, no, there's going to be a rook h7. I beg your pardon. I was about to suggest knight e5, bishop e5, going after the g3 pawn, but pay attention. There's rook a7 check, followed by rook h7.
He has played it, in
Played it.
fact,
Anyway.
takes, and
The
now the
rook a7 looks like a winning maneuver.
Just because you're going to double up on the f7 pawn.
Absolutely, and he's done it.
But king f6. What if you do win this pawn? Do you
There
win?
it
Do
is.
you win
Done
the
it.
game?
King f6.
But what does that
H7.
do? After takes, he moves, and now what? He takes the other one. Oh, the problem is you can't win. Wait, why can't you play bishop d4 now?
Because rook of e7. Bishop d4.
Oh, the rook
certainly
can go to
legit.
e7. That's the key move.
Yeah, certainly legit move, of course, bishop d4. But it's 3 versus 3, full exchange up. But fortunately for black, his king
Is safe.
is
Well,
rook
no,
coming.
not after
The
that
rook
last one.
A frontal check with the rook would be just fantastic for white. Uh-oh, alert!
takes
Rook
E5
takes
on the
e5
board.
alert.
Oh, watch out.
Yeah, rook takes e5 alert.
That bishop decided to get
You
out
saw
of there.
that.
This
yes.
is tricky. The G pawn will go to G4, G5, then potentially start creeping up the board. He has a rook that can create some damage.
Well, I think it's time to go rook e6 and rook a6 to sacrifice the rook against the d6 pawn, and he's done it.
There it
because
is.
that will be a big pass pawn, but the g5 pawn,
Is real.
yeah, it's definitely real.
Starting with a check.
King, oh, I was about to say king e2, but doesn't matter.
Isn't there a rook c1 right now?
Yeah, I think we can repeat back with rook c1, king d3. Okay, but if he sacrifices the rook
There it is.
on d6, which he has done, and rook takes c4 check, king will go to d3, or king e5. No, he didn't go to e5. He just went back. And
Now
Magnus is
White
saying
has two passers.
two connected.
Black has separate ones. How
But
do
his
you-
king is in front of the, what a bad luck that the king is in front. Now, the question is king d4 or king d2. He went king d2.
He's cut. The key is White is cut
No,
off.
I don't like this because of rook a3. Why didn't,
And now
no.
check.
King c2. Magnus is saying Magnus is playing for e5, e6, e7.
Well, that seems like a good idea.
No, but
Yeah.
Black will have real play with his pawn and rook.
Exactly.
That's going to be a very technical ending even if you win
E5.
It's all
the
about the
material.
timing.
Here he goes.
Now,
the pawn.
if you take the rook, if you win the rook for the queen,
That's right.
I
That
think that's
endgame-
going to be a draw.
Yeah, that doesn't look winning at all.
Exactly.
He could play e6
Six.
if
We
he
can
doesn't
throw in
want
a
to
check.
because if rook takes an e7 and then rook takes on f6, White queens, but then it looks like enough for him to hold that position.
Well, especially because the pawn on g4 against the queen will be enough compensation.
Yes, absolutely. Always threatening to march to g2.
Exactly.
Too fast. So this is no longer looking winning. And Magnus just played a check, king up, and now he can't play.
He has no choice but to play e6.
Yeah, but this
oh,
doesn't-
he wants to play rook h7, d7? No, in any case.
There
Yes,
it
Yeah,
is.
there it is.
G3, d7, king moves, e6,
Oh, those
g2.
pawns are fast.
But
Okay, now the
Magnus is
E7
ready.
is
No,
played.
Magnus is ready to give up his rook for the g pawn and force the win, force the promotion.
But he has to play
of the
e6
queen.
first.
And now we
So
go rook
G2,
h2.
Rook h2.
But wait, rook can go to f.
No,
Don't they
he
both?
was supposed to play rook h2.
Because now
because
there's a
now
rook
there's a rook
f3.
f3.
There's a rook
Rook
f3
f3, but-
option.
It's probably still
No,
okay.
but now he can go
No,
rook g7.
Yeah, rook g7 transposes, right?
Right.
Then we take the pawn and play e7.
And that should be a win.
Yeah, because the pawn on c4 is not.
No,
No,
that's
it's
the
not
same as
protected
the-
by the
yeah.
king.
And he's
and
now-
look at Magnus reaching for the queen because he knows he's about to play
Rook g7.
rook g7 check. Now,
But he's
he could
double
go-
checking. Oh, he can play e7.
Yes.
He's thinking about whether he can play e7, but he decided just to go
Now
this
it's
way.
time to just take the pawn on g2
Mm-hmm.
and then play e7 so he gets his queen, and in this queen versus rook position
Gotta
with
be
the
a
pawn on c4, that pawn on c4 will
It's a
he could have
goner.
played queen g8 check right away. In any case, he's forced a technically winning ending of king and queen versus king and rook.
And this one, the computers can defend extraordinarily well to make life difficult, but
Human
very
players do.
difficult for humans to play the right, accurate way. But this one, Magnus knows, is indeed winning. But it's one of those you don't look
wonder if
at
he's
too
ever-
often.
Yeah, I wonder if he's ever tested himself against a computer, because as you just said, the computer can defend absolutely perfectly and make it awkward. Walter Brown famously lost a bet that he could beat the computer in 50 moves. Then he came back and he won the bet second time around, only after working like 5 hours to make sure he knew it inside and out.
And the trouble for Maxime, this is the kind of start that he did not want to have to deal with Magnus right away. And as I said, Magnus could upset the apple cart, as he will be looking to dominate the Blitz and show that he is indeed the #1 player on the planet. No
So,
doubt
Matt-
about it. And that rook boy on A3 is looking really scrumptious.
Whoa. Has he blundered his rook? Okay. Queen G7.
Yeah, Queen G7.
Queen G7 and rook
right?
G3
Rook G3
will happen. So
That's
he's
what
going
you gotta do that.
bring his
Yeah.
king
He
a
wants
little
to go
closer.
King E1 because he's got the A1 square covered.
Well, this is a nasty move. If you play rook A2 now, then king E1, and you don't have another check,
Right.
So,
ooh, Queen F1 check. Ooh.
No, be careful. Queen F1, King H2, King G2, Rook F3 check, stalemate. Watch out.
Yes.
Don't do anything silly. There are tricks waiting for you if you bring your king close too soon.
Yeah, that's what Maxime is looking at.
Even now, King F1 is a blunder because of Rook F3 check.
Right.
So that's what he's hoping for. But there's all Zugzwangs that start to happen. Complex ending.
Well, now he can go Queen H4 and maybe force the rook.
Magnus is down to 16 seconds, by the way.
Whoa.
14 as he's trying to work out this ending. And
it's only delay. There are no increments.
That's right. So now still trying to figure it out and now stopping the king from going to G2. He's
as the players have played this tricky ending, do we have any other results?
Levon has drawn his game, and the two Chinese players, Ding Liren and Yu Yangyi, have drawn, and Mami Vihara have actually won, and this is our final game. Richard Rapport defeated Fabiano.
Ooh.
Tough start for our American.
Fourth consecutive defeat.
Our American players.
Whoa, seconds ticking down.
That?
And now the rook, it looks so vulnerable.
It sure
But Magnus
does.
did lose some time trying to figure out if he can win that rook.
Can we win it?
Yeah.
And here comes the king. And we do it. This is the position he's been aiming for. This is the winning of Zugzwang position that White has to achieve that wins the game. And Magnus now showing the technique as he comes back to H4. And now Black is in trouble as that rook should go lost. But exactly how? Here goes the check. And King H1 is forced. And what exactly, though?
5, 4,
and Magnus
3.
still trying to figure out. It looks like he's not sure what the win is.
He really is not sure at all. That is remarkable.
Look at this.
Some ladder checks, perhaps?
No, don't lose on time.
Magnus is now down to only 5 seconds, and he is not winning the game.
He's trying to find his way to.
Oh, he does have.
One.
And he's found it. And there it is. He's finally picked off that rook.
Wow, that was a close one.
He will be.
Study that.